Melina here, and I just wanted to, real quick, because there's so many videos that I want to make, and I've been busy with school and work and writing and actually reading to actually film videos. So I just wanted to real quick do a December wrap-up, so my last wrap-up of 2017, and just everything that I consumed in there. I read 4 books, saw 1 movie, and then watched lots of TV shows that I'll just briefly mention the names of because they're stuff that I've been watching, and played a couple things, listened to some stuff, and yeah, whatever, we're gonna get into it. The first book that I read in December, which is probably the best book that I read in December, my favorite one, is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. I have a signed copy. And, yes, I feel like everyone has kind of heard of this because people were just freaking out over, you know, the first John Green in so long. But this is about a girl, like a teenage girl named Aza, who has OCD, and it's about her living with her mental illness and her thought spirals that she has. Her relationships with people, like her friends and, like, with a boy, obviously. And, it also has this subplot of her trying to kind of be a detective and try to, find out, like, what's going on with this missing billionaire that's in town that she happens to know the family of and everything. The plot, admittedly, was kind of all over the place. I feel like the main strong point and the main reason that people love it so much, besides the fact that John Green's writing is just so poetic and good, and I love that, like, you know, so many people complain about how smart the teenagers in his book sound, because they're like, oh, teens don't talk like that, but I've seen people on the opposite end, very few people, not nearly as many as the ones that complain, but they've said that they like that he doesn't treat teenagers like they're idiots, and he has ones that are, you know, intelligent, and they talk in complex ways and think in ways that, you know, aren't the conventional, just, like, whiny, simple-minded teenager, which is something that I've always loved about his books. So the plot was kind of all over the place. I did think the whole billionaire aspect was interesting, but the strong points were definitely the writing and the characters. I loved Aza so much. I liked the romance aspect. I liked the character of Daisy, I believe her name was, the best friend. I thought that she was interesting because, like, she's obsessed with Star Wars and she's a writer and stuff, but I absolutely hated their friendship and their dynamic, and, you know, things are supposed to just wrap up in a nice little bow at the end, but I just, after there's things that are revealed and stuff, and about her, and how they are with each other, I just ended up hating Daisy so much, and it's bad because, like, on paper, like, in, like, a profile, like, online or something, I feel like she's a character that I would end up really liking and stuff, but I just couldn't stand her. Could not stand her. If I ever do a in-depth review on this, I'd probably explain more why, but if you want to know my thoughts, I'll try to remember to at least link my Goodreads in general, because I review every single book that I read on Goodreads. So yeah, so hopefully if you wanted to know my more in-depth thoughts on, you know, why I didn't like Daisy, what else I did and did not like about the book, it will be there. Yes, I gave that 4.5 out of 5 stars, I believe. Yes. Yes, 4.5. It's just, the only reason I didn't give it a full 5 out of 5 stars was, even though the parts that were good were incredible, is because the plot was kind of lacking. I didn't care for the main friendship, and it was a very triggering book. If you've ever had thought spirals, if you've ever had tendencies of anxiety or OCD, reading it will be like being in the middle of a panic attack, and so it was very triggering for me. There was many times where I had to put the book down, even though I wanted to keep reading because it was very addictive and very good. It was just very hard to read sometimes, and I've seen that that's a common opinion for people who have struggled with mental illness who have read the book before. So that's it. Next, getting into one that I rated, I believe, just 3 stars. Yes, 3 stars. Is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I really want to see the movie. because I still thought that it was interesting enough that I think the movie would translate well. This is a nonfiction memoir book about this girl's life, like growing up in poverty and surviving like abuse and all this stuff. And again, I guess kind of similar in vein to Turtles All the Way Down. It's very triggering if you've ever had any of the things, like it's triggers for like sexual assault, physical assault, and emotional and mental abuse, alcoholism, addiction, homelessness, just everything. So it wasn't exactly an enjoyable experience reading this, even though it was very interesting. I thought that the writing was strong, and the story was interesting. But another thing that's kind of strange with memoirs, like when I read Running with Scissors last year, is that it's hard to tell how much of it is real, because some of the stuff seems very far-fetched. But, then at the same time you're thinking, if this is all real, that means that this person's life was really that horrible. And I don't know, I just know that it's a book that I enjoyed reading, and I'm glad that I read it, because it was something I was curious about for a long time, but I know I'll never reread again, so I think I'm going to unhaul this one. But I would recommend it for people who like memoirs and strong books, and who maybe didn't grow up in these kinds of circumstances, and that aren't triggered by these things, because then you're just reading about somebody's, like, very crazy, very sad life, rather than just reliving parts that you might have experienced yourself. So that's just me. Second, to last, there's two things left, is a comic trade / graphic novel, whatever you want to call it, which is probably, honestly, my favorite thing that I read in this month. Even though I love Turtles All the Way Down, this was the most enjoyable thing I read this month, because it was just a lot of fun and not triggering. And that is The Guild by Felicia Day. This is, if you guys have ever seen the TV show The Guild, I've binge watched all 5 or 6 seasons, and I loved it all. And it's about this online gaming guild, who they all play together, and they're all friends with one another, and you mainly follow this girl, who her screen name is Codex. I always forget her real name. I think it's Sid. Yes, Sid. And it's played by Felicia Day in the show, and she created the show, I believe, and she is one of the writers with Jim Rugg. And the art is gorgeous. I love that the style kind of changes from when they're, in the game, to when it's supposed to be, her real life. And I loved the story. This is supposed to be a prequel to the TV show. I really want to read the rest of the comics. I loved the writing. I loved everything that happened. Even the things that would normally frustrate me, it made sense with these characters, and I was like, oh, I get it, and it's all part of how they end up where they are by the time the show starts. And I just was obsessed with this. It was probably one of my favorite comic related things that I read in the year, which I do plan on making a video for that, because I need to make my favorite books of 2017, but I'm also going to make my favorite kind of comics / manga that I read in 2017, and this is definitely going to be up there because it was a lot of fun. And then the last book that I read in the month of December, and I guess my last read of the entire year, was Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. This is my first book that I ever read by them too, because I do have Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and I want to read the Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List book, but this is my first one by them. I've heard a lot of people talk about this and sing its praises and stuff. I give The Guild 5 out of 5 stars. By the way, I don't remember if I mentioned that, but this I gave 4 stars. The general plot is, it's about this girl named Lily who leaves this red, notebook in her favorite authors section in the Strand in New York. And she kind of leaves it there so that if somebody finds it and reads it, she can kind of find herself a guy for the holiday season. And the guy who ends up finding this is Dash, and they kind of have dares that they write back and forth to each other, and they send each other to different places and stuff. And the whole general main concept of this book was really good. I never have heard of a different book like this before. And I really liked the characters. I liked Dash more than I liked Lily, which, since the female chapters are written by Rachel, and then the male ones are written by David Levithan, who I have read other stuff from before. I just like his writing better, I guess, so I was more connected to the Dash chapters. I really liked this, and I think up until, like, there was about 50 pages left, I probably would have given this a 5 out of 5 stars, or at least like a 4.5. But I feel like towards the end, where it starts getting really far-fetched and really crazy and really all over the place, it just felt like too much. And sure, it was fun, but it kind of felt like very chaotic and like a hot mess towards the end. I still liked a lot of the parts. I still tabbed up quite a bit because there were so many like nice quotes and really sweet moments, and I thought that they were really cute together. But also, just a personal thing that I have is if I'm reading a romance, I don't like when it's like the couple doesn't get together until the very end, because then, you know, I'm there to see their dynamic with each other, and they didn't meet until pretty far into the book, and they didn't actually get together until the very end. And that's like kind of like why I would read the sequel to this, and kind of like the same thing that I had with Aristotle and Dante. Like, I really want to read the sequel that's supposed to be coming out, I think, this year, because I want to see the dynamic of them actually being in a couple together, rather than just everything that led up to it, and then as soon as it happens, it ends, if that makes sense. But yeah, I would still recommend this. It was fun, it was sweet, I loved feeling the whole Christmas vibe, you know, while it was the Christmas season. And yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Only movie that I've seen in December was obviously an incredible 5 out of 5 star movie, which was The Last Jedi. I watched it on Christmas in theaters with my cousin and my mom, and I loved it. I obviously had major issues with the ending, but other than that, I was one of those people who was like crazy obsessed with it. I already want to rewatch it, but since I'm broke, I'm waiting until it goes into the cheap theaters to start rewatching it in theaters like multiple times. Yes, that was the only movie I watched. I was just listening to like a buttload of Christmas music, specifically Kelly Clarkson's album Wrapped in Red. I've heard some of it before, but I had never sat down and just kind of binge listened to all of it, which was something that I did a lot in December. And like the second it hit December, I started just listening to Christmas music, like heavy metal Christmas music and Ariana Grande, and anybody that I liked that did Christmas songs, I was listening to it. I watched episodes of Supernatural Between, which is a Netflix show. I watched the pilot to that. It was actually pretty good. The Amazing World of Gumball, The Punisher, I watched the pilot to that. It was really good. The Clone Wars, Haters Back Off, I binge watched the entire second/last season of it. And it made me cry the finale. I'm sad that it's over, but I did like how it ended. So there's that. And then I was watching a few episodes of The Crown, which is slow, but I really enjoy it at the same time, if that makes sense. And then what I played was I played some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because I bought my sister that for Christmas, and so we were playing it together. I played some Star Wars Battlefront, the first one, not the new one, because I just managed to find used for cheap the first one, so I tried it out, and I actually really liked it. And then, I bought myself, around Christmas time, as like a Christmas present to myself, a PS Vita, and I was playing Mortal Kombat the Complete Edition on it. So, that's about it. That's my end of the year December wrap-up. And yes, I'm going to be doing like my 2018 resolutions and my favorite books/comics, and there's many videos that still need to be done, but yes. So if you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you'd like to see more of my face and my books. Bye!